What's up, YouTube? In this episode, I talked to Aiden and Scotty, two close friends of mine. Scotty is in the midst of a hard 75, and Subes has been weaning off drugs and alcohol altogether for some time. Listen as me, the addict, and them, the sober curious you could say, talk and many times debate about what it really means to be sober and how to achieve it. What makes an addict? Is addict a bad word? Is addiction even real? How much of this is our choice? How much of it is to a power unbeknownst to us? Listen as self-discipline, religion, culture, and dream chasing storm together in my behind-the-scenes episode, where I had the mic going to my guest surprise.
Bro, are people at the AA meetings, mostly not happy?
No, they're usually very happy people. Just something that I envy about them.
Well, why do you think you're unhappy? What do you think the root of that is? Is it because of, what do you think?
I think it's because I'm not bought in all the way.
On what?
Higher power.
Yeah, so how old are these people?
Older.
And you actually go to these meetings regularly?
Not regularly.
Alright. Yeah, you don't need to identify with this. I think that's throwing you under the bus. Your future self.
Yeah, I think
Are you going to explain, or are you just going to leave it at that?
I think you're grouping yourself in with something you don't necessarily 100% belong with.
Yeah. It's very early in life. I think
That's sort of like my message, though, is because one thing that convinces me that that's wrong is that every single time I go to these meetings, they come up to me and they go, if I just knew that when I was your age.
Dude,
if I
maybe
just
the
tried
meetings
doing
just
it when I was your age.
aren't it. You got what you got. You got over 2 years, you got what you got. I think you can
Take the wheel.
And yeah, and this podcast is you taking the first step. I don't think you need to identify with being an addict. That's not the move at all.
You should aim for sober living. I think that's one, a better audience, and two, I think it suits you better.
First off, I don't even fully understand what you mean, Scotty. Second off,
just because you live sober.
What?
I think that you too, to no fault of your own, just literally have such little information on what it means to be an addict. And on a surface level, are just going to make opinions that are just
ill-founded.
Yeah. Because every single word that you guys have said is stuff that I've thought about and talked about with other people who are in AA meetings. Every single word. Literally every word that you're going to say.
Yeah, but what about outside of AA meetings? Because all these people at these meetings are doing the same thing that
we're
arguing against. Yeah. Some cult shit.
I've never met someone who's sober who didn't go to AA.
What about people who just are sober because they're sober?
Yeah.
Then they're not addicts.
But why are you associating yourself with an addict?
Well, I kind of talked about that in my last podcast. I literally couldn't stop using drugs and alcohol. Every single day I was getting high.
Yeah, so was I until I wasn't.
Yeah, but you don't have the goal of trying to continue it for your whole life like I do. That's a totally different mindset.
But that's not something I think about.
Because you're not going your whole life, though. You will think about it if you want to go your whole life. You can't even think of that because you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that.
But one thing I do think about, though, is why would I want to drink again?
For real?
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly,
Because, I think about it, I'm okay, 75 days are up, and then what? Why do you want to drink?
Yeah.
You think it's so bad to have, a drop here and then,
yeah.
Maybe, twice a year?
Yeah. Because I've tried that. Every single combination that I've done of sobriety, whether it's get rid of alcohol, get rid of weed, get rid of Adderall, get rid of psychedelics, every single scale of drugs that I tried getting rid of, I would amplify the other ones and then always end up falling back. I literally would have this thing where when I actually first met you, I had this thing where I was going, okay, I would only drink once a month. by month 2, I was already drinking every day again. Like, I drank once, then I did it again. So it started off, I would have 1 bottle every month. That's it. Month 1, I had 1 bottle. Month 2, I was like, okay, I'm going to change it from 1 bottle. I'm going to do get drunk once a month. I went through that month where I did 1 bottle. Next month I did got drunk. The next month, I was already getting shit-faced every day, taking Adderall, smoking weed every day again. Just like that. And then I would look at myself in the mirror like, what the fuck? Why can't you fucking stop this? What the fuck is wrong with you? Literally just 1 bottle, you dickhead. How fucking hard is that? Every single time that I tried that, I failed. Every single time. And that's when I knew that I was an addict. That's when I knew that I did not have control of this, because every single time I tried to stop, I couldn't stop. Every single time.
Okay. I get that.
Honestly, when I ask that, I'm like for myself, like, and anybody, do you think, like, 2 drops a year is bad?
Dude,
like,
the 2 drops of year thing.
Yeah, I get. I've watched your podcast. I get your tendencies, right? I'm referring to, like, anybody. Like, I'm just shooting the shit.
Are you just talking about from, like, a health standpoint, dude?
Like, I just want to hear your take.
Okay, on a baseline level of what you're saying of 2, drinks a year?
Yeah, yeah.
2
The
occasions
thing
of getting drunk.
Because, like, I'm saying, I could see myself doing that in the future.
Dude, if you think that you can do that, literally it comes down to this. Try it. If you can do it...
I'm I'm really sure I can do it.
If you can do it, then you're not an alcoholic. And you're not a drug addict.
Yeah.
It's that, like, it literally... That is what it is, dude.
And so...
But hold yourself
You've gone
accountable
2
for that.
years. Right? And so...
2 years, 8 months, and, like, almost 9 months now. In a couple days, it'll be 2 years, 9 months.
Do you, like, ever have urges, like,
Fuck
these
yeah,
days?
I have urges.
To drink?
Sometimes, dude. Fuck yeah. It's fucking hard as shit. Sometimes I'll literally be driving, dude, and I'll pass by a fucking bev. Dude, when I was in fucking Europe, bro, sometimes I would go to a city alone.
There's pubs everywhere.
And you literally, like, dude, trying to, like, it wouldn't happen all the time, but there was definitely times, dude, where, like, when I'm alone in a new city, I'm like, nobody knows me. There's nothing holding me back here. If I got fucking drunk tonight, literally nobody would know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That actual understanding that nobody would know is fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah. But you would know.
Yeah.
And you'd have to live with that.
Yeah.
So that's why you didn't do it.
No.
Then why didn't you do it?
Yeah, why didn't you do it?
Because
That's crazy. Dude, you guys are gonna call me fucking crazy and shit, but, like, I'm really trying to subscribe to this idea, like, it's like higher power. Like, something else was, like, helping me get through this. Like, I try and pray and stuff. Like, I really try. Like, I try to find, like, that it's bigger than me. I try to find, for me, like, my meaning finding is through this idea that there is something else bigger than me going on in this world. And that it is not just me.
I can see that, and I have, like, kind of subscribed to it in a different way. I just like to look at it big picture. And it's, I don't know. Like, I look at time as, like, one continuous thing, and it's like, what's my role here? And I like to look at it as, like, I have one little blip of time, so, like, what am I doing with it? And that's what gets me through it. So it is kind of big picture, but it's in a different way.
Yeah, because I also can agree with you. I also have that same feeling. Like, that's sort of, like, the main backbone to why I'm doing this fucking shit. Like, why I'm making this podcast. Why I walk around campus with a fucking sign in my hand.
I know, bro.
Going up to people, telling them to listen to my...
What's the reason?
The reason is that, like, we're going to be fucking dead.
Yeah, I know exactly what
we're going to die.
So you might as well
like, if you don't do the shit that you think's cool, that you want to do, I think what I'm doing is fucking cool. Like, when I wake up and walk out that door with that sign and I feel that fear slowly go away as I keep on going up to people telling them to listen to my podcast, that's the shit that gets me through the day.
We're gonna die soon, like, might as well fucking live it up. Like what all the old heads have done, like, lived it up in their 20s, getting shit-faced all the time.
Fine.
I'm not for that. I'm for paying now so I can drink in a penthouse in Miami.
That's where I'm at, Aiden.
Like, maybe I will drink in the future. I know you're different with your tendencies. I'm really confident you'll grow out of that because we're still early and we're not fully matured.
Well, first of all, something that I want to point out though is that whole saying, college is the best 4 years of your life. I mean, I guess we're all in agreement.
Dude, that was
here.
the worst. That was the worst years of my life.
But it's also just terrible advice.
It is fucking awful advice.
Yeah, it's so shitty.
People not
life
only
should be getting better.
Not only do people say that like it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Go out and live these next 4 years every day is your last. With the inherent idea that you should go out and get blasted each day.
Yeah, that's the worst freaking advice.
Yeah, they're also sitting watching Wheel of Fortune and doing 9 to 5.
9 to 5.
Yeah.
That is kind of one of my goals, in life, is to just let people know that they can do so much more than they think they can, and that you bring this up a lot, Nick, with fear. A lot of it is just you're scared of what's gonna happen, and there's an alternate route that's very safe, so people just automatically take that route and fill the void with other shit. And that's why I really like your podcast, because it kind of makes you face that fear. So that's why I'm very into it. Because I think people have very specific goals in their life that they want to achieve, and they just chalk it up as, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because
it's so weird. And there's something that I read about called imposter syndrome that I can really fucking relate to, especially right now. It's when I'm walking around the fucking State College with my fucking poster, and I'm thinking about how I'm gonna be this guy who has this podcast at Penn State. I'll start thinking to myself, who are you?
Yeah.
Literally in my head, I'm you're not that guy. It's not only that, it's I'm trying to just do what I want to do, and this is what I want to do. But then it's an actual thing that happens to every
But the only way you become that
people
guy,
that try to do what they want to do. It's the whole idea that I'm making this thing that I'm trying to get people to watch or listen or buy, and it's who am I to have these people do that? Who am I trying to be? What kind of person am I trying to be? I'm not that person.
But the only way you be
it's
that
sort of
person-
negative self-talk thing where it's you're not that important. What makes you think that you're important? What makes you think that what you're selling or what you're doing or what you're producing is important that other people would want to
But
do?
the only way it becomes important is if you continue to pursue it. If you want to be someone, you have to act as that person would be. That's what I do. I have this vision of the ideal you. The only way you can be that person is if you act how they would act in your mind. And then you will become that person over time. If you want to be a super successful person, you imagine what that person does on a day-to-day basis, and you go out and do those things, you will inherently become that person. Imposter syndrome is the voice
Thinking
that's
that you
telling
don't deserve to be that person.
Yeah, I mean, that happens to everyone who tries to do something outside their comfort zone, that you aren't capable of doing this.
Yeah. That is what it is.
That's discomfort in general, I feel like.
The thing is that's sort of crazy, I don't know, with this podcast and everything is it's I mean, I'm not even really fully bought in yet on where I stand on my journey in sobriety.
That's your imposter
let alone
syndrome.
where I stand on
How?
where I want this podcast to go. This podcast, I don't even know that part about it, my sobriety, but then I'm also trying to make this podcast about sobriety. So it's almost like a dual learning thing. I feel like
I think it's
it can
good.
be.
Yeah, you'll learn
I think that could
about
be
yourself.
a message that I could put.
You're 100% gonna learn a shit ton about yourself doing this.
I agree.
A
And I think
podcast
that's-
is crazy. You're
I think
gonna
that's
watch
something
yourself
that I should-
talk.
I think that's something that I should put out there.
Yeah.
I also really like talking about the whole fear thing and doing what you actually want to do with your life. I think I love talking about that stuff.
I'm not even really convinced that I'm fully into that either, that I'm doing what I want to do. I could fully see myself stopping this podcast, stopping everything, and joining the 9 to 5.
And
Like,
you'd be
very
fucking
easily.
miserable.
but like I feel like I feel like I could find a way to like make it manageable.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to understand.
Because it's easy. It's so much easier to be like, yeah, I'm gonna go be a fucking salesman.
But it's
and
also
this is my
another
life.
thing that's hard about it though is that like once it's like you start thinking about the other factors and it's so many things that try to bring you in. Because if it's not your parents, then one day it's going to be
Bring
your
you into the
girlfriend.
9 to 5.
If it's not your
Yeah.
bringing you into the like norms of
Yeah.
society.
But that's fear.
Yeah.
But dog, I'm just fucking
Yeah,
saying. You have spouse, you have your kids. One day you have the mortgage that you have to pay. You have even, you know, if you have like no money now, like the car that you have to buy. Really just all these things to make life comfortable. Like the thing is that's so appealing is that like you can get so comfortable. Like if you can get a 9 to 5 that pays good, you can have a nice car.
Yeah.
You can work scheduled hours, then you can make a prediction. You can get X amount of holiday days. This stuff is appealing.
Dude, if my highlight of my life is getting 5 more fucking holiday days,
Bro,
I will actually
I'm just
end it.
saying. You know something that's
Including
all
ad
based
costs.
off of this shit though? Like, dude, it was like literally just a TED Talk that I saw, but like, dude, TED Talks.
Wow, yeah.
But anyway, dude, it was crazy. It was this guy. He was just talking about for 20 minutes on like to CEOs. Well, that was like his audience, but his audience was everyone because it's a fucking TED Talk. But his whole fucking thing was like, dude, looking at somebody's resume, hiring people off of like these numbers and shit. Like, he's so convinced that the only thing that matters is how passionate the person is, because like that passion. It's that whole idea of hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Like, if you hire somebody with a 4.0 GPA who's just doing it to get blitzed on the weekend, like, yeah, they might get the job done. But, like, somebody who's fucking, like, passionate, you can't buy that. You can't learn that in school.
Yeah.
And that's sort of, like, something that's really helpful to me in thinking about how I want to do this podcast. It's like, well, dude, I don't know how much more passionate about anything I'm ever going to get but outside of this podcast. Like, I'm really, really invested in this podcast and my message and shit.
Yeah,
and
hold on to it.
I don't know if I'm going to find that passion in
Anything
something else.
I think you'd also would have a lot of regret if you took your plan B and never
Oh, dude, I
really
already know that.
really gave
I
it
mean,
a
the
shot.
thing that fucking, one of the major things that got me to do this podcast was every single day thinking, like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what am I going to go do?
Yeah.
Like, even while I was abroad, I was like, yeah, this is fucking cool, but, like, you know, it's 1 year. What am I going to do after this
It's
year?
so weird because I never really had those thoughts until like maybe like last summer,
same.
and then it just fucking smacked.
And now
me.
it can't leave.
Not even like
Dreaming. Like, really.
Yeah.
I've just got one blip of life here. I'm here for maybe another.
Dude, I feel
80
like it was
years.
like a pendulum swing for me. Like, when I was like 12, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be like an NFL player.
And then you
you know.
went through all this shit, and then now it's
And
like
you went through all this stuff of just like molding, and then me too. Like something like a year ago, or maybe
Just
while I
snapped.
went abroad or something had happened.
Yeah.
But I was just like, dude, like I really want to try to like do something cool with my life, dude. I
And I
really
know
think
that.
about
Yeah.
it a lot. Like
I
if
know
I'm
that.
on my fucking deathbed,
looking back, and I could have lived some other life.
dude. I have like such a weird connection to that idea though. Now it's like really,
Well, that's-
really real to me. I have like this fucking thing, this soreness in my back. I'm like, yeah, what if that's like cancer? Like, what if I die in like 2 years from cancer? Like, what am I gonna think about when I have cancer and can't move anymore? And think about, like, thinking about your deathbed, everyone immediately thinks to when they're 85 in their deathbed, but like, your deathbed could literally be any moment.
Yeah.
You could die at any moment.
Yeah.
Which
so,
ties into like everything we've been saying.
Yeah.
That's
all
what-
these fears and everything, all of it goes away when you die.
It's nothing. It's just
Dude,
over.
so death is like the ultimate like innovation in life. Like the ultimate restart and rebuilding of everything in life since the beginning of time, like Darwin and all that stuff. Like death is the one thing that progresses like society forward.
No,
Death
yeah.
puts you in that position where you have to do it because this is it.
Nah, dude, this is it on Earth. Everybody knows there's only one life on Earth. I mean, okay, there's religions that believe that you get reincarnated, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about the monotheistic religions. Okay, they all believe that you're gonna die. Just because you're gonna die and it's it on Earth doesn't mean that religion's not real, because that means that because you hold such a high value, everybody holds a high value to life on Earth. God and religions and all these things always preach about how
But
valuable time on earth
but that's an if. This is definite. So that's why my point of view is more certain on. I have one guaranteed block of life where I know it's real. This is it. If I screw this up, I'm gonna regret it for the rest of my life.
Death is the ultimate restart, and death is the end.
Yeah.
Death is the ultimate progression.
I agree with that. It forces you
So we have to evolve in our life.
Yeah.
I mean, my point with like that I haven't felt as motivated about something is that I should definitely go for it.
Yes.
But the thing that I'm saying
you are.
though is like the reason why I even started it was just super like random. Like, you know, I mean, I'm sort of like into books where like, you know, somebody like finds their fucking dream thing. It's like sort of like a topic that I'm into. Or like they survive against all odds. It's kind of like my vibe.
Because they find their thing, their passion.
Yeah. Like meaningful books, like where like the story is like they go through life and find meaning, and then, you know, they chase their fucking dream, dude. Like it's such a different view on life. Like if you can really try to think of dreams as something that's tangible, because dude, there's so many people that you'll talk to in life where it's like, you'll ask them what's like what do you want to do? They'll tell you, and I'll be like, why don't you want to do it? And it's like, it's just a dream. And then there's the other people where it's like, what do you want to do? Oh, I'm trying to be like an actor. And then it's like, well, you're a fucking shitty actor and like you're not getting anywhere with this, so why are you still doing it? And it's like, because it's what I want to do. It's that simple. Also scary though.
But that's just the fear. Would you rather live with the fear of doing what you want to
Dude,
do?
then it comes down to
or
like,
live with the
but
regret?
then what happens like if you meet like a girl that you really like? I mean, people sell for that.
That's
Elaborate.
understandable though.
You meet a girl, right?
Yeah.
You're making like fucking jack shit money as an actor. You live in a shithole. I'm just saying an example of somebody chasing the dream.
Then your
And it's
life
like, okay,
changes.
You're dating her, and then she's like, well, you know, like you need to get a real job because like I want to like we're thinking about having kids and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? This isn't fucking like news
Yeah,
to you.
so
This
what?
shit
Like
happens.
like that's when you gotta stop acting, is what you're saying?
I'm saying that there's a million things that are gonna try to make you stop.
Oh
acting.
yeah.
That was just one example.
Well, then at least you have a reason of why. I mean, I don't think you'll have
But should you
regrets.
have
though.
that? Should you just go for that reason?
That's up to you.
Yeah, no.
Depends how
it's
much you like the
fucking
girl.
hard.
If you really like the girl,
Depends on how much. Like, well, then it's like, okay, then do you respect your parents? Like, if your parents want you to go get this job, it's like, well, then what? You don't respect.
Well,
your
they
parents?
respect you, and you're respecting yourself by doing what you want to do. You believe your dream should be reality.
But I'm saying that then that argument could apply for every external factor. Then, but I'm saying sometimes it's not that easy though.
yeah,
But it can be, and that's what we're trying to cultivate here.
Okay, so you're saying it can be that easy?
It can,
You can always
yes.
sort of just like.
It's all mindset. Dreams, for most, it doesn't seem attainable. But goals, one by one, step at a time, that's what I do. I have big dreams, and
Dude, something that's unique about America too. Like, sorry to cut you off there, but like, dude, like student loans and student debt is a fucking real thing.
yeah, bro, I got like over $100K worth of loans I gotta start paying when you graduate.
That's a big
December.
time dream killer.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
one of
dude.
those big time factors
Yep.
that bring people back into like, okay, those are dreams. I need to live in reality.
Dude, I've been wanting to go abroad since May, but like I'm like, wait, I gotta start paying like $1,000 a month, and so it's just kept me at home. Yeah, it's definitely held me back a shit ton. It sucks. I wish I never went to school. I'm hopeful I'll make money, and like in that way, it's like, oh, like it's just in the background.
Oh, yeah.
For now, it's hard. Because, like, I want to go abroad and, like, quicken this process of, like, learning myself and finding my passions. Like, if you go abroad and force yourself out where, like, life's gonna fucking stab you, like, that's what I'm so hungry for.
no plan B.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know, like, I was just abroad for like
Yeah.
a fucking year,
Yeah.
and I think it is kind of
Fucking
true.
envied the shit out of you.
Yeah, it was pretty epic. But it's like, it is that whole thing. Like, when you can really detach from everyone around you, that's
Yeah,
when
that's
you can
sick.
really.
The objective observer.
Dude, I literally want to be a monk. I've been wanting to, like, just go to a monastery and just, like, never
Did I have
come
a friend
back.
who talked shit about how he was gonna do that? I wonder if he did. Like, he said he was gonna do it like as a retreat for like 2 months. He was gonna go to some like monastery in Taiwan.
Yeah.
I gotta hit him up, see if he
Probably
did it.
actually really good for you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I actually can agree with that too.
Yes.
Even though it is like pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's like extreme.
But it is extreme. But you know,
It's all perspective.
It's still
Yeah.
like detaching from. Because this is also something that's like so fucking key that I keep on saying and trying to reword so that it makes sense to everybody, where it just doesn't sound like some like bullshit cliche thing.
What?
But like the difference between loneliness and solitude, the difference between like going and finding meaning and finding out who you are is completely different than just being like this hardcore dude who's like, oh, I'm gonna wake up at like fucking 5 a.m. and not talk to anybody because like somebody did that. And like you have to like want to do it, you know? I feel like that's a huge part of this finding out who you are thing. Like if you don't want to do it, but you just are superficially doing everything that other people have done who want to do it, then you're not going to do it, you know? There's plenty of people who go abroad, dude. There's plenty, yes, dude. There's plenty of people who go abroad where like they don't do what I did. They don't actually like detach. Like I went to these abroad things with like knowing nobody. I knew nobody each place that I went to.
Yeah.
And then each place that like I would try to find new people to like hang out with. I wouldn't hang out with maybe necessarily people that I usually hung out with, you know?
Yeah.
And so that even then I would still like gravitate towards Americans, you know? Most of my friends every trip
Find
that I
your
went
way.
on were Americans. But
Keep your plan B aside while
yeah,
you're
but
abroad.
there's also still other people, dude, who literally only will ever hang out with Americans. Like I think if you're going to go to like some of these countries and some of these programs, like where you're just going with all of your friends from the U.S., then it's like, you know,
It's just a vacation.
Yeah.
for real. Yeah, I think there's a difference between studying abroad and vacationing abroad, and I think if you go knowing people. So that's my 2 cents on if you go abroad, go alone.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to. I'd want to do what you're saying.
And it ties back into like, okay, the culture, the workforce that we're used to, the
that's
the
just
school
fun.
life,
Yeah,
the
it
type
is.
of girls that
You want to
date.
talk about crazy? American culture is pretty unique
Fuck yeah, it is.
in a lot of different ways.
And I found that very much so while I was abroad too.
What I find.
You know what was something that was funny though, that happened to me everywhere that I was abroad? Whenever I brought up the idea that like, yeah, I'd love to live over here, they'd be like, why would you want to leave America? Like, dude, this fucking status that people hold America to around the world is insane, dude. Okay, there's some countries, the only other countries who wouldn't say that are France, Germany, England. Those people might be less to say that, but like, when I was in Asia, nobody could understand why I would like want to move there. When I was in some places in Central Europe, they'd be like, why the fuck would you want to move here, dude? You're in America. Like, the American dream is real.
Do they-
Alright, this was probably the realest episode I have had yet. We had no intention of making this part of the podcast. This was actually the 3rd filming session, if you could even call it that. And I just said, let's keep it. I have 2 more episodes with Scotty and Subes on their own, but maybe those episodes will stay with me. I hope that out of this episode, you could reflect on why you are the way you are, and why you do what you do. Maybe this episode made you upset. Maybe it made you angry. Maybe it made you happy, maybe it made you hopeful, and hopefully for me, it inspired you. If there's ever something I hope to get out of this podcast, it would be to help someone like me in recovery and to inspire others to do something that scares them. Maybe even both.